culture performance is just as powerful, if not more, than task performance, in my belief, about what makes a high-performing player, a high-performing team member. What do I mean by that? If you are constantly negative, if all you have is a negative comment, if you gripe about your team members, if you gripe about the leadership, if you gripe about the policies, if you're cynical about the purpose,
Yep.
if you have that way about you and it's manifesting in clear and obvious ways, I want you out. And I may give you a chance. I want to talk to you and be open about the change I need to see. But we are going to set guidelines and rules about the way we behave and the way we don't. Some more of those things. And by the way, that culminates in what I call a social contract, where there are, and we probably don't have time to go into it too much here, but it is basically a set of things that we as a leadership team agree on about how we're going to treat one another and how we're going to deal with conflict. This is a fascinating piece. And then how we're going to treat the team.
Interesting.
And so and
it's actually written.
It is a written contract, and then everybody in the firm signs it. And I have told people over and over, I'm involved in the onboarding process for every person that I've ever hired.
How
over
critical
the last 15.
is onboarding?
Oh my gosh.
They say that the first 90 days are like the most critical?
The minus 14 days before the hire, and then the 60 days after are the most indicative of success. That's where success is determined. And what I mean by that is the interview process. What's going on to determine, is this person the right fit? And what are they learning from us during the interview?
Another episode. I want to do an episode on interviewing.
Look, I geek out to this stuff, so I'll talk your ear off.
It's just interesting to me to see some lawyers, some law firms, not everybody, but they really lack these concepts, right? And we had a situation where we had a team member that was in a leadership position, and they did an amazing job, but anybody rolling up to this person had an idea. They were very quick to shut it down. They were very negative about it. It had to be their way or the highway. And we were like, no. High performer, but was literally the culture of that pod was just not good anymore. And the moment you remove them, it's like you have a different team. It's like, oh my God, like you feel the energy automatically.
I referenced the book Multipliers, Liz Wiseman, my favorite leadership book. Her premise there is that there are some people in leadership who are multipliers. In other words, they make everyone around them better. They inspire, they pour in values, they train, they grow, and they reproduce other people that have the right qualities. And they bring out the best in people. The flip side of that is exactly what you just described, or one element of it, called a diminisher. The person that may be brilliant.
But that's the problem, I think. The problem is when you say they're doing such a great job in this area, but they're ruining our culture. And I think some business owners might let it slide because they're a high performer. But I don't like to sacrifice the culture. And for me, personally, I think the culture of our organization is not just my team, but our clients.
Absolutely. And so most law firm owners and most leaders get so transfixed, right?
This is my best employee.
I can't get rid of it. Like, yeah.
I disagree 1,000. Right? I agree.
And I've seen it over and over again that if they'll have the bravery, the courage to get rid of that person, I always believe, and this may be a flaw in my leadership and management style. And by the way, those two things are different, and that'd be a fun topic to talk about, the difference between leadership and management. But in my style, I always want to give somebody an opportunity. So even if it's a culture problem, unless it's egregious, unless they've done something that's completely unacceptable.
No, and I think you should as a leader.
And you sit down and you say, you know what? I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to hear openly and clearly and kindly, but respectfully, but firmly and directly, here is what can't happen again. This is not in alignment with who we are. And here's what I'd like to see differently, and how can I help you get there? If they can do it, then it's awesome. And in performance-related things, a lot of times that works. In attitudes, in deeply held beliefs, in those culture stuff, right? it's harder for them to move to that. Yeah. And in my opinion, every organization in America should have rules about how people treat one another. I'm absolutely convinced, and I think there's good research out there to support this, but I've also just seen it anecdotally throughout my career. Interpersonal problems, emotional problems, inability for people to get along and function well together, those issues cause more loss of revenue, more pain on the bottom line, more collapse of companies than bad marketing plans. All those businesses out there that have a good idea, what typically leads them to either have stunted growth or to collapse is interpersonal problems.
That's crazy.
They can't function well together.